Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is Tuesday, October 24th. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of the fantasyfootballfanatics.com. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined as always by CJ, the Hitman Hickman. CJ, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up?
Not much, bud. Feeling good about that Eagles win?
Oh, man, I'm loving it, man. You can hear it in my voice a little bit, man. Just coming out of there, and hopefully I can get still good fantasy advice under the influence a little bit, but it's okay, though.
Not going to be super biased, and you're going to push through, be a true professional, as we all know you are. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it must feel pretty good knowing that you guys are basically in the driver's seat for the NFC. That's pretty exciting for you guys, Philly fans.
Man, I love it. You know, this is a good feeling, man. We haven't had this in quite a long time. So to have the best record in the NFL, in the driver's seat in the division, man, you know, it's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling.
I mean, it feels good. I'm happy about it. Like, I don't know if the listeners know this or not. I lived in Philly for a while. That team needs a championship or at least a good run into the playoffs. So I mean, fingers crossed, pulling for you, buddy. But let's go ahead and move into our studs and duds from the week. We're going to power through this show. Got a lot to get to and only a little bit of time to get through it. So, of course, your top performers for the week. We talk about this in standard scoring, 6 points per passing touchdown. And, of course, as always, we'll start with the quarterback position where your big three performers. And basically, if you had any of these guys we're going to list, you probably won your week. You at least had an advantage. If you played against them, quite the hurdle to overcome. 3 starting quarterbacks that really set you apart. Derek Carr, we all saw on Thursday Night Football, 36.18 fantasy points. Not the most efficient performance, 29 for 52, but he went for 417 yards, garbage time touchdowns, putting the team up, and then made it not garbage time at all because they won. 3 touchdowns, 15 rushing yards as well. Massive performance, and good to see the Raiders get right. And Amari Cooper, who, of course, we'll talk about soon. Dak Prescott, your start of the week, which I wanted to put as my start, but I just felt like it was too obvious, so I didn't put it. But hey, I mean, when you're right, you're right. 35.96 fantasy points. Go ahead.
I'm about to say, look, I know some people will probably say, well, come on, CJ. Of course, everybody's starting them. Of course you are, because it was a great matchup. And I just gave you the vote of confidence if you were, riding on the fence and say, well, you know what, I'm going to start, Russell Wilson against the Giants. Well, why don't you just take an easier matchup that's going to be pretty beneficial for you as far as fantasy points and just take Dak Prescott there. And look at you. If you follow my advice, you won.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, he was I think in my personal rankings, my power rankings, he had the second best matchup. I think I had him ranked number 2 overall. So, yeah, I'm completely on board with you starting him. I said that on Friday's show. But then again, let's flip the coin there. Jason's start of the week, which everyone, we got some people writing in even saying, oh, that's such an obvious start of the week. Matt Ryan, well, that didn't work out. So,
it did not.
You're not always right. Nothing is sure in fantasy football. It's all a matter of probability and stats and trends. So we have Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, and then Russell Wilson, 32.36 fantasy points, 27 for 39 for 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. So not too bad. Let's go to the running back position where Ezekiel Elliott refuses to not put up a good performance when he's on the verge of possible suspension. He went off for 39.9 fantasy points. So much better than even the next best running back. It's kind of insane. 26 attempts.
Decent day.
It's decent. It was passable. 26 attempts for 147 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Also had 1 reception for 72 yards and another receiving touchdown. So monstrous performance from Ezekiel Elliott, which, by the way, all signs point to the fact that he will play also in week number 8. And then after week 8 is when potential legal things could come into play. So good news there if you're an Ezekiel Elliott owner. LaShawn McCoy was next. A full, 17 points less than Ezekiel Elliott. He went up for 22.2 fantasy points, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Todd Gurley getting it done on the road. Well, it was technically a home game, but it was across the pond. 21.4 fantasy points. This was Jason's sit of the week, but I said that I would actually probably start him, and there you go. He went for 106 yards, one rushing touchdown, also caught 4 balls for another 48 yards. So good performance there by Todd Gurley in a tough matchup. Let's go to the wide receiver position where Amari Cooper finally showed up. It was just a matter of time. Who
started him this week?
I think I saw that somewhere around 60% of players did start him. So if you were some of the ones out there that either started him, trusted your numbers, trusted the gut, I mean, it sure wasn't a ideal matchup. But, I mean, hey, if you stuck with your guys, your high draft picks, you were rewarded. He went up for 33 fantasy points. So
they fed him early and often, and that helped his his confidence, and it showed later on in that game.
The thing is, though, if you actually look at the stat line, he did not actually have that good of a game. I mean, he went for 11 for 19, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, yeah, that sounds good. But, I mean, he was dropping a lot of passes badly. That first touchdown was blatant offensive pass interference, and the second touchdown was a completely busted coverage, which we could have made that throw. But, I mean, hey, you got to build that confidence. He's got to get going. They got him going, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come. If you have held on to Amari Cooper this long, fingers crossed, right?
Yep.
All right, next guy, Kenny Stills, 20.5 fantasy points. We'll talk about what happened in Miami soon, but with Matt Moore under center, he has shown a tendency to throw to Kenny Stills, and he got it done here as well. 6 for 9, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And also, going back to Thursday Night Football again, Tyreek Hill, 19.2 fantasy points. 6 for 8, 125 yards, and a receiving touchdown as well. And also, again, this is what blows my mind, got lit up again, receiving a kick, and was knocked out for a little while. He came back into the game, but I can't support it. I know that they need a big play, but it's a dumb idea. Get somebody else. Tight ends that set you apart. O.J. freaking Howard. They finally realized that, hey, we have the top rookie tight end in this draft class on our team. Let's use him for more than blocking. He went 6 for 6. He caught every ball thrown his way for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this is something I preach coming into the season, that I think he will give you weeks, but it's going to be really hard to predict when those weeks are. Cameron Brate is still there, a lot of other weapons, so I'm not rushing out to grab O.J. Howard. I think this is going to be incredibly inconsistent and really hard to predict. But, I mean, he has this upside. If you're in a 2 tight end league, I guess it's a possibility. Evan Ingram comes in as our number 2 tight end on the week for the second week in a row. 6 for 12, not incredibly efficient, but 60 yards and a touchdown. Evan Ingram, I am completely on board with the fact that think... Huh?
I said, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with I know you're finishing your sentence, but I'm agreeing with it already.
I thought you were going to chime in there. I mean, look, we talked extensively in the preseason and the draft season talking about rookie tight ends, the trends, the stats, everything around them. But Evan Ingram has kind of backed his way into a perfect situation. He is a wide receiver playing tight end, and the top 3 wide receivers on that team are not right. Now, 2 of them are on IR. So, I mean, he's going to get volume. He's going to get opportunity. He's heavily used, heavily featured. I think he breaks the mold and is that once in a rare occurrence where a rookie tight end actually puts up a good end-of-season fantasy number. So, I'm rolling Evan Ingram out with confidence because there's not much ahead of him. And then Jason Witten finally showing back up. He's kind of disappeared the last couple weeks. 11.4 fantasy points, 8 for 10, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Basically, as we saw in the final stat line, the Cowboys dominated the 49ers on the roads, but that was what we all assumed would happen. Let's go to the duds of the week, the guys who definitely let you down. Carson Palmer, 2.88 fantasy points. He got injured. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, so that's really, really bad news. Maybe that's why Jason's not here. He just couldn't take the losses to his Cardinals, which I understand. It's tough being a Ravens fan and the injuries we've had to deal with, so I understand, Jason. You can come back. This is a safe place. The fans will be here to support you and help you through this process. I know you're listening. Trevor Siemian, 5.68 fantasy points. Man, the Broncos are just not good on offense right now.
Not good. And
with his seemingly number 1 target, Emmanuel Sanders, missing, I mean, he seems to really struggle. So there's something to definitely monitor. Cam Newton, 7.44 fantasy points. I mean, falling back to earth a little bit. He's put up 2 really good weeks and now going back to the Cam Newton of old. So, this is what you get with Cam Newton. They're trying to make him into a pocket passer. It's not always going to work. Marcus Mariota putting up a shockingly bad game. This was my start of the week. 8.92 fantasy points against the Cleveland freaking Browns.
It's crazy.
I
told you, those Brownies are stingy on defense, man. They play tough on defense. It's just the offense that just haven't catched up yet.
They play tough on defense, but they have been beaten, especially giving up a lot of points to the quarterback position throughout the season. But, I mean, Marcus Mariota clearly is not right. I was hoping that he would take another step in his progression coming off his Monday Night Football game against the Colts. It did not materialize, so that was a very disappointing week for him. Shocking. I know a lot of analysts out there were predicting a big game from him as well. Eli Manning, 9.36 fantasy points. Not surprising because, it's the Seahawks. These things happen, especially when you're down your top receivers. Jacoby Brissett, 11.1. Brett Hundley, big letdown there. 11.88 fantasy points. I think that going into the bye week, I would not be surprised if we hear a lot of chatter about the potential of a change in Green Bay. I know Mike McCarthy sticks with his guys, and I don't know if they actually acquire anyone else, but they are going to be working him into the ground during their bye week. He's got to improve. The matchups don't get much better than the Saints, which are better on defense this year, but they are not the end-all, be-all elite defense that I'm sure they would like to be. So, big letdown there. All three Green Bay wide receivers closely bunched together being disappointing. They just ran the ball. They ran the crap out of that ball. So, we'll talk about that more later on. Joe Flacco, 13.4 fantasy points. He's just not good at football. And Andy Dalton, 14.4 fantasy points. My sit of the week, putting up a dud performance. Let's go on to the running back position. Marshawn Lynch. We talked about this a little bit on Friday's show. 0.9 points. He got ejected from the game for putting his hands on an official, and then he got suspended.
That would help.
It's tough to succeed as a player in the league when you are ejected from the game. Also suspended for week 8, so he's not going to help you there. Ty Montgomery, 1.5 fantasy points. I mean, they gave the ball to Aaron Jones, and they just kept running the ball with him. I mean, He's the best true running back they have right now. Jamal Williams, not 100%, and they seem to like Aaron Jones better now. He's showing more of a flash. Ty Montgomery is a converted wide receiver. I mean, that's why they went out and they drafted running backs back-to-back. They were trying to find someone to hit, and it looks like they're settling in. This could have also been that they're still trying to ease Ty Montgomery back, so I wouldn't necessarily think the writing's on the wall here, just something to keep an eye on. Tevin Coleman, 1.6 fantasy points. The Falcons struggled in this game against the 32nd ranked defense. What are you going to do? Derrick Henry, your start of the week, CJ, 2.4 with a opportunity and a workload. Was not efficient. DeMarco Murray, again, being more efficient with his touches on a limited basis. It was
tough.
It's tough,
man. The defense, I don't know, man. It was tough to watch. Looking back at the film, man, seeing that, Mariota was struggling. And it reflected on the running game as well, man. I mean, like you said, Murray he was more effective with the limited touches he had, but for some reason Henry couldn't get him going, and I thought he could. Coming off of a very good and impressive performance against the Colts, man.
Yeah, well, as I talked about on Friday's show, DeMarco Murray was more efficient in that game. He was more efficient in this one as well. He's banged up, so I believe are they in the bye this week or next week? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think it's this week.
I think it's this week as well. I think this is a mega bye. I think there's like 6 teams on bye this week without actually looking at it. So yeah, hopefully they get DeMarco Murray right, and this just further backs up what we've been hearing, that DeMarco Murray is the lead workhorse. He's Man, did you see when they tried to get Derrick Henry involved in the passing game like they do DeMarco Murray, and the ball went through his hands and hit him in the face?
Yeah,
that was bad.
That's not him. That's not his game.
That play right there gave DeMarco Murray a huge boost because the coaching staff's not going to forget that play. Mike Gillislee, he's being phased completely out of this offense. 3.1 fantasy points, your sit of the week, so good call there. Thomas Rawls, 3.2. Adrian Peterson, 3.3. When the quarterback goes down, there's no passing. They're just going to stack the box. So, yeah, that was he was, I believe, my start of the week, if I remember correctly. But when injuries happen, adjustments have to be made. And, yeah, Adrian Peterson just could not run against stacked boxes. No surprise there. Frank Gore, 3.4. Eddie Lacy, 4.3. Melvin Gordon, 4.4. Getting stuffed at the line. But the Broncos are a good run defense. Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart, 4.6 and 4.8, respectively. The Panthers having a hard time there. Orleans Darkwa, a little bit of a letdown as well, 4.8. Jerick McKinnon, 5.7. I know a lot of people are freaking out about Jerick McKinnon. I just think that this was game script. I mean, they were playing the Ravens. Latavius Murray is their bruiser, downhill back, and he got the touchdown, a good broken coverage. I think this is just, don't forget about Latavius Murray type thing, but I still think Jerick McKinnon is their lead back there. He's more versatile. He's a pass catcher. I think he's going to get more of a volume than Latavius Murray will. So don't freak out about Jerick McKinnon yet.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
CJ Anderson still dealing with a big time share, 6.1 points, not great there. Jordan Howard, 6.5, a bit of a letdown. And then Joe Mixon, 6.8 points. Basically, like the whole Bengals offense, did nothing in the second half. So really disappointing there. Let's go to the wide receiver position, where we start off with Martavis Bryant, 0.5 points. CJ, are you dropping him at this point?
Yeah, he's got to go He's got to get out of this offense, man, because it's not. And that's not using him, man. And Juju Smith-Schuster looks like he's his replacement, and he's working. Big Ben is looking for him and giving him opportunities. So unless he's traded, he needs to be benched. And if you got other people out there that can outscore him, like a Paul Richardson or some other wide receivers like that, man, you might have to drop him, man, because he's just not getting the opportunity.
Yep. Next up, John Brown. He's not going to do much with his quarterback going down, 0.6 points, so that's a tough call there, CJ. Mike Wallace, 0.9. He got a concussion on the very first catch that he made on the play. It was funny, if you actually watch the game, he was searching all over for his helmet. He was trying to put himself back in the game, but they took the helmet from him and hit it, so... Yeah, that's what they do. They're not going to let you back in if you have a concussion. Demaryius Thomas, 0.9. Jordan Matthews, 1 point. Devontae Adams, 1.2. Jordy Nelson, 1.3. Randall Cobb, 1.5. So, I mean, it all went the way I kind of predicted it would. Devontae Adams getting the least production, but they're separated by 0.2. So, not much of a sample size there. It's so frustrating because this is such a talented offense. They're being held back by the quarterback, and what are you going to do? You can't replace Aaron Rodgers and expect things to stay the same. You just can't. Yeah. Danny Amendola, 1.7. T.Y. Hilton, 2.7. So that was your set of the week. Good call there. Larry Fitzgerald, or that was Jason's set of the week. Larry Fitzgerald, 2.9. Dante Moncrief, 3. Rashard Matthews, 4. Adam Thielen, 4.1. A.J. Green, 4.1. Did not record a catch in the second half. Keenan Allen, 4.1. Sammy Watkins, 4.2. Pierre Garçon, 4.9. And Kelvin Benjamin, 6.5. All players that didn't record even 7 points. And then the tight ends, as always, a dumpster fire. Antonio Gates, 0.4. He's being phased more and more out of the offense. After he broke the record with that touchdown, Hunter Henry's getting more and more of the opportunity. I expect that trend to continue. Austin Hooper, again, Falcons let you down, 0.6. George Kittle, 1.6. Martellus Bennett, 1.7. Again, Green Bay is not doing anything. Jermaine Gresham, 1.8. Ed Dixon, 1.8. Kobe Fleener, my set of the week, 2.2. Zach Miller, Jason's set of the week, start of the week, rather, 2.9, so disappointing there. Benjamin Watson, 3.8. Delaney Walker, he got hurt, 4.3. Kyle Rudolph, 4.3. Jack Doyle, 4.4. Rob Gronkowski, 5.1. Julius Thomas, 5.8. And David Njoku, 5.8. All these big-name tight ends that didn't even get you the equivalent of a fantasy touchdown. So, those are your studs and duds from the week. And, again, this is basically fantasy therapy. We're just trying to relate with you guys and let you know you're not alone. This happened to a lot of us. So let's move on to our top headlines from around the league. Not a lot to get to, just a couple big headlines we wanted to talk about, starting at the quarterback position, where Arizona Cardinals quarterback, if you guys haven't heard, Carson Palmer, he broke his arm on Sunday. Now, he will be undergoing surgery on his left arm and is expected to miss 8 weeks. In the meantime, Drew Stanton is named the starter, which is much to the dismay of all Cardinals fans around the world. Blaine Gabbert is there, and that's who I know a lot of the fans are calling for. Drew Stanton, we've seen him under center in the past, and it is not good. So I am officially off the bandwagon for basically all Cardinals pass catchers, just like I am for basically all Green Bay pass catchers at this point. And this is probably, unfortunately, going to sink Adrian Peterson as well, because he's going to face stacked boxes even more frequently. He is going back to the days of being in Minnesota all of a sudden, and he's not, in his late 20s anymore. He's in his early to mid 30s. So
you just need adequate play from the quarterback position. If you get adequate play from them, then I think you can still play Adrian Peterson, because you'll see the light of day.
I think you're still going to start him up as an RB2 flex option and hope for some upside there, but I think his ceiling is definitely capped, and his floor also has taken a bit of a hit here, because again, he's going against all these stacked boxes, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to challenge Drew Stanton to beat them with his arm, and I mean, we've seen in the past, he's not able to do that. So, not excited about that, and again, probably a reason that Jason isn't here today. Sorry, Jason, we got to take shots at him. He's not here.
Got to, man. Yeah. The man is hurting over there.
He is. Miami Dolphins quarterback Jay Cutler cracked 2 of his ribs on Sunday against the Jets. He is expected to be sidelined for about 2 to 3 weeks, and honestly, I don't know if he comes back, because Matt Moore looked pretty good out there. So, we'll see how that shakes out. Matt Moore, in the meantime, a serviceable backup, and he looked decent ending the year last year as well. So I like this. The big question mark here is when Devontae Parker comes back, because as we talked about briefly before, he has a history of locking into Kenny Stills, but Devontae Parker is kind of their big outside threat, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets this offense going. I think Devontae Parker's ceiling does take a hit here. It's just putting that out there. As a Devontae Parker truther that I am, and having rostered him in a number of my leagues. Let's go to the running back position, where Tennessee Titans running back DeMarco Murray bruised his shoulder on Sunday. Again, he's got a week to get healthy, so not too concerned about that right now. The wide receiver position, Miami wide receiver Devontae Parker, who we were just talking about, he is expected to test his ankle today on Tuesday, and this is in preparation for Thursday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens. So, we'll see. We'll see if he comes back. And then now, this is what I was looking ahead to. Tennessee Titans tight end. Nailed it. Delaney Walker. I always get my tongue tied on that one. He was diagnosed with a bone bruise. Also, he's dealing with the ankle and all this other stuff. He had the calf injury going into the game. He's a little banged up, so he needs some time to get right as well. And a little bit of other news. Dallas Cowboys kicker Dan Bailey, if you haven't heard, he suffered a groin injury on Sunday. They actually had the safety who's, oh man, why am I blanking on his name? It'll come to me. Their safety.
Ryan Jones?
No, I don't think was that it? I don't remember. He was actually taking kicks for them and didn't do bad. He went 2 for 3. But Dan Bailey is going to miss several weeks minimum. So Dallas is expected to sign a new kicker within the week. So heads up there if you're rostering Dan Bailey. And we told you we were going to fly through the show today.
About the Roberto Aguayo, maybe?
Roberto Aguayo going to an even bigger spotlight than he's been in before. We'll see. It's possible he's out there. I doubt it, but it's possible. Let's go on to our topic of the day, which is our top waiver wire targets for week number 8. Now, we only have 2 of our, us 2. Jason's not with us today. So let's start, as always, with the running back position as we do. My waiver wire targets of the week are basically, you can pick and choose. It's whichever you want. One, I think, is going to be more consistent. One's going to be more of a home run hitter. I'm giving you 2 names here, and that is the Oakland Raiders running back core. Now, they have a tough matchup against the Bills this week, but, volume is opportunity, and opportunity is a chance to score. DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard. Now, DeAndre Washington is available in all but 0.8% of leagues, so he's widely unowned. And Jalen Richard is only rostered in 2.8% of leagues. So both these guys are out here. Jalen Richard, I honestly think, for me, with the eyeball test, is the more talented running back. He's a better pass catcher. He's more universal in that offense. But DeAndre Washington, he got the touchdown, and he is the bigger, therefore, the red zone back, as you would expect. So I think both these guys have standalone value. And honestly, without having a chance to deep dive on the stats and the trends, which I'm going to do, and obviously we'll talk more about on Friday, you could really go either way, and I don't think you'd be wrong. So if these guys are available, might be worth a waiver ad, especially as we're going to a bye week where a lot of people are going to be missing from your lineup. So those are 2 names for you right there. CJ, your guy.
First of all, I want to say I agree with those 2 picks, man. I like that.
Well, thank you.
No problem, man. My next one is Marlon Mack, man, for the Indianapolis Colts, man. I like what he's been doing. He's been increasing his role in the offense, man. Look, I hate to say it, but Frank Gore, he's been such a beast to this league. But he's starting. It looks like Father Time is finally starting to catch up, man. Maybe it's Father Time, maybe it's just not good offensive play. But Marlon Mack is starting to get more opportunities, and he's starting to get more effective in this offense and starting to produce. So, if you're hurting, like Griffin said, the bye weeks are coming. This is going to be a lot of teams on bye. You might be affected by it. I think this is a good start for you.
I like it. We heard how they want to get him more involved in the offense, though for me that's kind of a prove it thing because we've heard them say this before, and for some reason they haven't been giving him much opportunity. So we will see, but definitely a lot of upside there, and I think that especially as Frank Gore wears down a little bit as the season goes on, he's the most rounded and obviously most explosive back they have in Indianapolis. So I agree. I like the pickup. Definitely a stash option and obviously a handcuff option if you're a Frank Gore owner. Let's go to the wide receiver position where I am rostering the aforementioned Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, he is the rookie wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Martavis Bryant seems to be going the way of the dinosaur. Did you see how he went out and said that on his, his Instagram, I think it was, that Juju Smith-Schuster is not as good as he is? Martavis Bryant said this?
He has said that, but,
he deleted it.
Okay, I'm about to say, because I would love to see that happen. When he finally moves on to another team, we're gonna find out.
Well, he's come out and said that he has not requested a trade, and the Steelers have come out and said that they are not looking to trade him. So we'll see how it plays out. But either way, he seems to have fallen to third on the depth chart behind Juju Smith-Schuster. So talented rookie pass catcher and it's a top-tier offense in the league. They haven't quite gotten their footing yet this season, but it's one of those things like Amari Cooper. It's just a matter of time to me. So I'm going out and I'm targeting a piece of that offense, which is widely available. He's only rostered in 2.3% of leagues, so go get him if he is available. Your guy, CJ.
My guy I talked about every now and then, but man, I love him just because I love his tenacity, man. I love how he flows in his offense and he makes plays, man. Russell Wilson looks for him. I'm talking about Paul Richardson, a guy that I mentioned earlier on the show. Man, listen, he's only owned in 5.6% of leagues. But, man, you just go – if you're ever in doubt, if you're questioning this pick, go back and watch their highlights. Watch the tape of this game, man. That boy was out there making plays on a Giants defense that is pretty good, might I add, as far as the corners. And he still went out there, burned them, and made plays. I'm saying go pick up Paul Richardson, man, because he's a baller.
I like it, especially with the lack of production that they're getting across that wide receiver core right now.
Yeah.
Let's go to the tight end position, where I am never going to stop preaching this guy until he gets to a point that I cannot tell you to pick him up anymore. And it's climbing. Every single week, people seem to be going, oh, look at that guy who's consistently getting me close to double-digit points at the tight end position. And if you followed the show for any period of time, you know who that is. Austin Seferian Jenkins. Only owned in 29% of leagues, and he went out, got you yet another touchdown this week, and he should have gotten you another one again. So he's a guy who I am telling you, roster, because he may not be the flashiest guy. He may not be the highest ceiling guy, but he is giving you a very consistent floor every single week, and really that's all you need from the tight end position in 2017. It is not the year of the tight end like we hoped it would be. So go get him. And CJ, your guy, which by the way, I love your guy. I've rostered him in almost all of my leagues already.
Yeah, man, I went and switched this one out because I like the opportunity he has in offense. So I'm going with Laura Croft's brother, Tyler Croft, for the Bengals. Man, he's only owned in 2.1% leagues. Man, he's widely available. I love the opportunity he has there and the connection he has with Andy Dalton. Good as a run blocker, man, and good in the passing game. He's very sneaky how he gets open, man. It's funny to me. But I like the opportunity, man. And right now at the tight end position where you don't have a lot of stars, if you don't got the top three, you're kind of hurting. So and you just want to find something out there that can be able to produce. And I think this guy does it. He's shown it, and I think he can be able to be consistent throughout the year. Got you a
tight end. The tight end got you a touchdown this past week. I mean, he's filling in Tyler Eifert's role. Tyler Eifert's done for the year. I don't think he's going to be the safest floor guy, but I mean definitely a red zone threat. He's going to get you touchdowns. I like him a lot. Like I said, I've rostered him in almost all of my leagues. The ones that I did, and it's just because I couldn't make space on my roster. So Tyler Croft, the guy who I'm definitely taking a flyer on, and I love the upside there. And like you said, only owned in 2.1% of leagues. I mean, he's out there. If you need a tight end, go get him. And so, that's going to do it for us today. That was a speed show if we've ever done one, but not a lot of news, and we hit all the tough points. So, as always, please make sure you guys subscribe. We'll be here every Tuesday and Friday, and we will be back on Friday when we're going to be telling you all of our starts and sits for week number 8. So that's a show you guys aren't going to want to miss. And make sure you guys come back, and we're here all the time. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Fanatics. Best way to submit your questions, lineup disputes, roster questions, or just start a conversation. We don't mind talking to you guys. It's a lot of fun. Comment down below if you're on YouTube. Also, you can follow us individually. I'm at GPalmerFFF, and CJ is at CJ Hickman89. And as always, please make sure you guys support the show. Head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Get yourself bonus perks every single week, including bonus episodes, or give us a rating, give us a review on iTunes. That helps the show out so much more than you guys will ever know, and helps us keep the lights on. So any parting thoughts before we sign off, CJ?
Man, I'm sorry for my voice being lost, man, because I was so excited watching my Eagles win, man. I'm just gonna, I'm so glad the show ends so quickly, man, so I can go back and celebrate it, man. So I appreciate y'all, man. I'll holler at you.
Got to go out and party. I understand.
Yeah, man.
All right. We are out of here. We'll see you on the Patreon show. If not, we will see you on Friday. Everyone, take care. Have a great week. Bye.
Life in the fast lane. Moving at the speed of life, and I can't slow down. Only got a gallon in the gas tank, but I'm almost at the finish line, so I can't stop now. I don't really know where I'm headed, just enjoying
All right.